Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're going to dive into a topic that's really at the root of so many health issues, inflammation. We're going to break down exactly what it is, and more importantly, what the science tells us about how we can actually get it under control.
But first, I want to start with a question for you. What if the single biggest threat to your long-term health wasn't something obvious, but was actually a silent process, happening inside your body right this second?
Well, that silent threat, it's something called chronic inflammation. Now, this is totally different from the good kind of inflammation, the short-term kind you get when you have a cut. This is when your body's immune system basically gets stuck in the on position. It's this constant, low-grade hum of activity that, over years, can start to damage healthy tissues. The best way to think about it? It's like a faulty smoke alarm in your body that is just blaring 24/7, and it never ever shuts off.
And look, this is no small thing. According to the World Health Organization, a staggering 3 out of every 5 people on the planet will die from a disease linked to chronic inflammation. We're talking about the big ones: heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes. It's a huge global challenge, but here's the good news. And there is good news. We have way more control over this than we think.
So where do we even begin? Well, we start with the most powerful tool you use multiple times, every single day: your diet. What you put on your plate can either be fueling that inflammatory fire, or it can be helping you put it out. Let's just break this down real simple. On one side, you've got the stuff that promotes inflammation. Think refined carbs like white bread, all the sugary sodas and foods, and those ultra-processed packaged foods that are full of trans fats. They just send these inflammatory signals all over your body. But then, on the other side, we've got our heroes: whole foods, especially plants, fiber-rich grains and legumes, healthy fats like omega-3s, and natural antioxidants. These don't just avoid causing problems, they actively help your body calm everything down.
Okay, so let's get even more specific. What are we talking about here? We're talking about powerhouse foods like oily fish, salmon, and sardines, which are absolutely packed with those anti-inflammatory omega-3s. We're talking about a rainbow of colorful produce: blueberries, cherries, broccoli, kale, all loaded with antioxidants and these amazing compounds called polyphenols. And you can't forget things like nuts, whole grains, and even green and black tea, which research shows can help lower those key inflammatory signals.
Now, beyond your main meals, certain supplements can have some really powerful, targeted effects, and the research here is getting super compelling. Just take a look at this conclusion from a recent clinical trial on ginger. It found it had favorable effects on pain, on a person's ability to function, and on the very inflammatory markers we're trying to control.
All right, let's dig into this table because it highlights 3 of the most heavily researched supplements out there. You've got ginger, which as we just saw is fantastic for pain and stiffness. Then there's curcumin, that's the active compound in turmeric, which is so effective for muscle pain that some studies have compared it to NSAIDs. And of course, fish oil, just a goldmine of omega-3s for lowering inflammation everywhere. And the key thing to see here is that they all measurably reduce those inflammatory markers. You can think of things like CRP, TNF-alpha, and IL-6 as the body's little alarm signals. These supplements help turn those alarms down.
So let's move on to our next section, which is fitting because that's exactly what it's about: movement. You see, exercise isn't just for fitness or weight loss. It is, quite literally, anti-inflammatory medicine.
And honestly, the science on this is crystal clear. Study after study shows this inverse relationship. The more active you are, the lower your levels of systemic inflammation. It's not just a theory. Movement actively works on a cellular level to tell your body to chill out.
And this chart really visualizes it perfectly. This is data pulled from a huge meta-analysis of many different trials, and the takeaway is just so powerful. You can see it right there. Aerobic exercise leads to a significant drop in CRP, TNF-alpha, and IL-6. Yep, those same alarm signals we keep talking about. This proves that getting your heart rate up actively dials down your body's immune response.
So what does that look like in real life? It's simpler than you might think. The general guidelines suggest about 30 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise, like a brisk walk, a swim, a light jog, most days of the week. You'll want to mix that with some strength training a couple of times a week too. But you know what the most important word on this slide is? Consistency. Regular activity is what sends that constant, powerful, anti-inflammatory signal to your body. Okay, so diet and exercise are absolutely huge, but they're only 2 legs of the stool. Now we have to talk about the 2 pillars that are so often overlooked when it comes to an anti-inflammatory lifestyle: rest and recovery. And let's start with sleep, because this is fascinating. What you're seeing here is basically the Goldilocks effect of sleep.
The research is very clear. Getting less than 6 hours of sleep a night is strongly linked with higher levels of those inflammatory markers CRP and IL-6. But, and this is the wild part, sleeping too much, like more than 9 hours, is also linked to an increased risk. It seems the sweet spot, the just right amount for keeping inflammation low, is right around 7.5 hours a night.
All right, let's talk about stress. Chronic stress is not just in your head. It has a profound physical impact on your body. It basically hijacks your body's hormonal stress response system and completely messes up its ability to regulate inflammation properly. Over time, that constant stress leaves your body stuck in a pro-inflammatory state.
So the good news is we can do something about this. Step 1 is just to acknowledge it. Recognize that your mental stress is a physical trigger for inflammation. Step 2, choose a technique to manage it. The research here is incredibly strong for practices like yoga and meditation, which have been shown to help regulate those stress hormone pathways. And step 3, just like with everything else, practice consistently. That's how you really see the benefits.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground, so let's bring it all home and put it together into a personal action plan. And the whole idea here is small changes that lead to a really big impact.
So here it is, boiled down to a simple 4-point plan. Number 1, eat whole foods. Just fill your plate with plants, fiber, and healthy fats, and try to limit the processed stuff. Number 2, move your body every day. Find something you enjoy and just stick with it. Number 3, prioritize your sleep. Aim for that sweet spot of 7 to 8 hours. And number 4, manage your stress. Find a daily practice that works for you, whether it's yoga, meditation, or just a walk in nature. It really is that straightforward.
At the end of the day, inflammation is just a form of communication. It's your body's language. It's trying to tell you something about your diet, your movement, your rest, and your stress. So the real question I want to leave you with is this: what choices are you going to make starting today to change that conversation? Thanks so much for joining me.